Whether it's coming from your wives, your ex-wives, girlfriends, ex-girlfriends, false accusers, family court, the media, movies. I could go on and on. But it's coming at you from all sides, whether you realize it or not. And what I've learned is that many men don't realize it. If you're here, you probably do. Uh, there are a lot of men who don't. So, like this video to try to get it out to those who need to wake up. Um, I will never stop supporting men and fighting for them because so few people are. The men who have tried are shamed, shut down, and worse. The women need to do it because we are the ones that people listen to. I don't think that it should be that way, that we're the only ones, but that is the case. So the more women that stand up and say the truth about what's going on and what has been going on for decades and decades, maybe a century or more, the better. So we're going to talk about a little bit of that today and how the media keeps coming after you, shaming you, trying to mischaracterize who you are. Welcome back to Far From Eden. This was released in Forbes magazine. Once again, a reputable source. I use that in quotation marks because if you're a normie and you don't yet know that the media is just a propaganda tool, many people woke up to that, I don't know, about 5 years ago. Some are still very much asleep, but Forbes is considered by normies to be reputable. And so that's why these kind of lies are effective, especially by a psychologist. And we've heard from this psychologist before. In fact, it was very recent, in a recent video. It's Mark Travers again. So once again, a guy. And we had that issue with him last time when I don't even remember what it was, same baloney. This one is Why Men Enter and Exit the Manosphere by a psychologist. Now, trust me, this is not an article about the manosphere. They never are about what they say they're about because it's a sneaky way to malign you and to shut down men's spaces. Men's spaces are not allowed. You guys know that. You're only allowed to have approved friends, the ones your girlfriends and wives approve of, even society. Go ahead, try to have a meeting. You know what I mean? You better be watching a game. You can't get together and like discuss politics of the day, stuff like. They don't want that. They haven't wanted that since they introduced television. That was the whole point. Go home, sit in front of a screen. That's the train. Sit in front of a screen. Don't go out to the public, aka the pub, right? And gather and discuss. You might realize government's not really your friend. You might realize some truth. Anyway, it's a whole topic. And it's still going on. So they don't want men's spaces. So it's no wonder they don't want the manosphere, right? So they're going to try to malign it. It's not just the women. And I'm not excusing women. I'm just saying you have to recognize that the state and corporations both benefit by keeping men with blinders on. And they have, in turn, given a lot of control and power to us, the lady folk, because we are the ones that, right? I'm trying to speak code. I want the video to get out. I don't want it shadow banned. Anyway, hit that like button. That helps a lot. The manosphere refers to a collection of websites, blogs, online forums, and communities focusing on men's rights, men's interests, and critiques of feminism. How dare you? The manosphere is controversial and often criticized for promoting misogyny, toxic masculinity, and harmful stereotypes about both men and women. That's exactly what they're going to do. Because the first part, men's rights, men's interest, and critiques of feminism, I mean, what's wrong with that? Those are opinions. Remember those? We used to be able to have those in this country. I don't remember when, but we used to be able to have them. It's been a long, long time. Not just 5 years, not just 10 years, not 20, not 50. That we can only have opinions about certain things. And they're very sneaky about how they go, oh, well, it's not the government cracking down. Sure. The manosphere largely consists of the following types of groups. Men's rights activists. Such groups advocate for what they consider as men's rights and aim to address perceived discrimination against men in society. Why can't they just say discrimination? Don't you think if they were talking about women, it wouldn't say perceived? If you're ever not sure, this is the way to discuss it with newbies and normies. Tell them to flip it the other way around. And then immediately you have to see the double standard. It's right there in front of your face. You go, well, this we're talking about women. How acceptable would that be? And they're going to trip up on things. I highly recommend doing that to the church going, happy wife, happy life situation. Do the right thing and walk down that aisle and sign that government contract. Pickup artists. This community focuses on teaching men strategies to attract and seduce women, often emphasizing manipulation and psychological tactics to do so. Full disclosure, and you guys correct me if I'm wrong. Please correct me if I'm wrong, but that seems accurate. It does. Now, the discrepancy could be, is there anything the matter with that? That is a matter of opinion. My opinion, of course, is I would say it's degenerate and it doesn't contribute anything good to society. So I'm just being completely transparent with you guys about where I stand. And if you've been here for a while watching, you already know. Okay, here are the really bad ones. Are you ready? Red pill men. Deriving its name from the Matrix, this community believes in taking the red pill, or awakening to what adherents view as the true nature of gender dynamics and societal structures, which involves a critical view of feminism and reinforces traditional gender roles. Yes, that's accurate. And there's not a darn thing wrong with it. Thank you very much. This is one of the parts that makes me mad. Incels. Involuntary celibates, or incels, are a subculture of men who feel they are unable to find romantic or hanky-panky partners despite wanting them. Their group discussions are often rooted in feelings of frustration and resentment towards women. Yeah. And I think it is absolutely rude, to say the least, and unfair to look at incels in any kind of a negative light, to judge them for being frustrated, to make fun of them, to belittle them, because there are so many men out there who are suffering, and I will highlight the word suffering. I'm not yelling at you guys. I'm thinking about the women and the other men who use the term incel as an insult, right? Because there are men out there suffering from touch starvation, suffering from severe loneliness, because so many women do go for the top 20% of men. That is a statistical fact when you're looking at dating apps. This is not an opinion. This is not their perception or what have you. This is the truth. They're getting shot down. Not to mention, women, by and large, so many of them are not interested in a serious relationship or long-term relationship in their 20s because, they've got things to do and they're developing themselves and they're focusing on their career and any euphemism you want to come up with to avoid talking about the carousel or, a series of pleasure-seeking ventures. This is actually, and I don't want to sit here and condescend or patronize to the men who are lonely at no fault of their own. There's nothing wrong with average men. There are tons of average women. It's the top of the bell curve, right? It's the majority of people, right? And those people used to get together because people didn't used to have access to everybody, right? You knew the people from your town. You didn't know the people across the country. You didn't have access. Women couldn't put their pictures up on Instagram with filters and this, that, or the other and get attention from men all over the world. Even if they're not, one of the most attractive. Like, it's just a fact. So men who used to be able to partner up, get dates, etc., including in high school, they're just not. They're not. And I don't think, to use, the other side's language, I don't think they should be shamed for that. Where is the empathy? Where is the empathy for men? Here are two primary reasons. And the last part, I'm sorry, one more thing. Feelings of frustration and resentment towards women. Can you blame them? But you and I both know how they usually twist that. Like some sort of violence. Like that movie Adolescence. Now, this was written before series Adolescence. And I'll let you look that up for now before I get into a rant about it. Piece of propaganda. Here are two primary reasons why some men are drawn to the manosphere. Nursing heartbreak and recontextualizing rejection. A 2023 study details the journey of radicalization and de-radicalization of ex-members of the manosphere. Do you guys have a membership card? I don't. Based on accounts of users from two subreddits, Incel Exit and X Red Pill, that support each individuals in their exit process. Often, users found themselves drawn to the manosphere as a result of experiencing romantic rejection and frustration within their dating lives, as well as grappling with feelings of masculine inadequacy. Such individuals often experience loneliness and low self-esteem, which were reinforced by the narratives of alpha and beta men in the manosphere. This dichotomy categorizes men into alphas, viewed as confident, assertive, and successful with women. You know, I just have to stop right there because personally, I don't look at it as an alpha is successful with women. I agree with the other parts, confident, assertive, possibly successful, but that doesn't have to be monetarily. That can be a variety of different ways as a result of the confidence, the assertiveness, other positive masculine traits. But I don't necessarily think that means with women, because do you know what that implies or outright says? That the woman or women determine the man's elevation. See what I'm saying? Like, if you're successful with women, that means you're at the top. And that is absolutely not true. And if society sees it that way, which it does because it tries to make it so, tries to make it so that men think the only way they have value is if women value them. And that is just not true. It's not true. That's not what gives you your value. And part of the problem they have with us in the manosphere is that we know that. You've discovered that. And in order to control you, they need you to think that your value lies in what women think of you. I have talked to men who have been, suffered through divorce by no choice of their own. And part of the reason they get stuck and they are so low is because that rejection, that failure, feeling of failure, a lot of it's rooted in the fact that she has now deemed you unworthy, right? And for so long, these men have associated their value with what she thinks. And having spoken to some men's rights activists, including Paul Elam here recently, this often comes from the boy's relationship with his mother, because he values himself based on her opinion, her happiness with him, etc. And then that just transfers over to his adulthood. So if you are at all in that situation now where you can't quite, you feel like you're unworthy or you're not valuable, etc., make sure it's not because of what women think of you or how women have treated you, because that is not a reflection of you. It's most likely a reflection of them. And think about what you know about men and women, and think about what is more likely based on how we're all behaving today. All right. Sorry, I lost my spot. I needed to point that out. I needed to point that out to you guys. All right. That's the alpha and beta, right? Between the two. I'll read this last sentence again, if I didn't read it already. This dichotomy categorizes men into alphas viewed as confident, right, assertive, and successful with women, and betas, who are portrayed as submissive, less successful and more prone to rejection. Again, I more prone to rejection, betas. I no, I disagree. Now, do women prefer more confident men? Absolutely. However, they also don't, right? Because you're confident. Why don't you listen to me? Why did you do it? What do I always say? You can't win no matter what you do. She's going to want a more confident man one second, the next second she's not. It's going to depend on the situation, right? I hate that I can do those voices and know what you guys have heard before. But I'm cursed with a woman brain, but also blessed because I can translate to you guys and explain why and how and what we do. Heartbreak and rejection can cause significant emotional distress, and men who feel hurt, confused, or angry might look for explanations and support under these circumstances. Oh, yeah, if they can find it. And thankfully, now the manosphere, they finally have some. Because before that, nothing. Those experiencing rejection might see themselves as betas and believe that adopting alpha traits could improve their success with women. Yeah, that's when you get to the pickup artist realm. I don't think that applies to any of the others. But remember always that they are trying to shift everybody into the Andrew Tate category because we need to put a monster's face on all of you. He's probably a psyop. He's probably controlled opposition, all that stuff. It's just too convenient. However, the alpha beta framework often perpetuates negative attitudes toward women, viewing them through a lens of competition and conquest rather than mutual respect and partnership. Sorry, this is getting stuck. Again, we're at the PUAs. Negative attitudes towards women. You're allowed to have a negative attitude towards whatever you'd like to have a negative attitude towards. But apparently, not these people, which is weird, right? So no matter what they do, you daren't have a negative attitude. No matter what you do. Oh, you've been, steamrolled through family court? How dare you have a negative attitude? You're generalizing. Stereotypes are there for a reason. We generalize for a reason because you can make generalities. Otherwise, how can they on one hand talk about studying social science, this, that, and the other, and teach people marketing and advertising on how to target, right? How can they do that if it isn't a real thing? It's only real when certain things are being done and said and portrayed. But when certain truths are revealed, you can't generalize. Quote, for some users, the red pill was appealing after experiencing a difficult breakup or being cheated on, whereby such challenging personal experiences could be explained by the ideological belief that women are evolutionarily wired to cheat or manipulate men, explains the author of the study, Joshua Thorburn. Hold on. Ideological belief that women are evolutionarily wired. Are they talking about hypergamy? Well, I have a question. What about back before modern times? When there was more wilderness, let's say, and there was more conflict between tribes and kingdoms, etc. And her husband went off to war, didn't come back. And now you're unprotected. You know, you need a husband back in those days, right? We needed to have the ability to, you know, bond with that second guy, right? A case can clearly be made that that's true. And I don't understand, well, yes, I do, why that's offensive. No. I mean, how often are we like, oh, he's a caveman, oh, this, that, and the other, but so such a double standard. And it's so obvious. You can't believe I didn't see it all growing up, but they really come at us early with the propaganda, especially the women. They propagandize girls early about these things. I can kind of even remember some of it. Thorburn found that manosphere narratives can also cause mental distress and reinforce a negative self-perception of being unattractive or too emotionally sensitive to appeal to women. That's not what we're doing here. I don't think that's true at all, unless it's pickup artists again, but I don't think that's true at all. I think that's the opposite of what we're doing here. I think what we are not doing is sitting here going, yeah, it's y'all's fault, guys. Get it together. If only you were better. That's the opposite of what the manosphere does. And that's why they really despise it. Okay. Emotionally sensitive to appeal, or they're too emotionally sensitive to appeal to women, encouraging users to embody the more cold and distant alpha archetype. I thought that women wanted men to be more emotionally sensitive. It's almost like that's not true. Weird. Quote, I had realized the real issue. I had nearly all the traits described about these so-called betas. I understood that if I wanted to stand out, I needed to be cold, careless, and maybe even a little mean sometimes, and have many options with women. With social wait. And maybe even a little mean sometimes, and have many options with women and socially stand out. Have many options with women? And socially stand out because according to the red pill, that's what the female nature looks for. And I truly thought that I don't know, this person can't speak. And I truly thought that it made sense about why I failed with all the girls I've fell in love with. One user shared. Grammar alert. Okay. Once again, this is a man going to the manosphere to learn that it's all his fault. Is that Bill's experience? Because I've been in this space this is my 5th year, which I know I'm a newbie, but that is not what I've experienced at all. I've experienced the other way around, where men are coming to learn the truth, hence red pill, right? What I've said over and over again is it's not your fault. It's not your fault. Nobody's perfect, obviously, but it's not. 9 times out of 10, it wasn't you. And men are hyper accountable, meaning they are always looking at why and how it was their fault and what they could have done to be a better husband or be a better boyfriend or this, that, or the other. And I'm like, it wasn't you. It wasn't. 2, the need for a support system. Quote, a relatively common radicalization pathway stems from men and boys seeking advice and help for the psychosocial challenges they face online, which led them to the manosphere. figures that post the videos offering motivational, self-help, and dating advice to this demographic. Notably, such videos could offer misguidance to users facing significant personal difficulties, Thorburn writes. Some men might struggle with understanding their role in modern society amidst evolving gender norms. Men who feel isolated or struggle to form meaningful connections might also turn to online communities for camaraderie and a sense of belonging. How dare you have a men's space? Thorburn found that experiencing traumatic childhood events and being at a younger and more impressionable age can also influence radicalization into the manosphere, as adolescents strive to make sense of their emotions and relationships and establish a sense of identity. And I would say seek masculine guidance, because even when there's a father in the home, he's not in charge. The manosphere steps in to provide this sense of identity and purpose, emphasizing traditional masculinity as the solution. Yeah, yeah, because it is. Manosphere communities also function as echo chambers. Well, yeah, we have to. We have to. And we need a microphone and to amplify it as much as possible because it saves lives. Where members share similar stories and ideas, reinforcing the belief that their experiences are part of a larger pattern, with moderators discouraging dissenting views. No, we don't. We do not discourage dissenting views at all. The other side does that. That's exactly what these people do. That's what the media does. We don't do that. The reason it's an echo chamber is because the same stories are happening again and again and again and again, over and over again. I can predict it at this point. When I'm reading an email, when I'm talking to a man, I'm like, I already know, or I'm hearing a story, I already know how this goes. Because it's the same. Patterns are a real thing. When you deviate from the natural order, if you're not religious, if you know the creator, then it's God's perfect order. When you deviate from that, problems arise. History has shown us that. Your experiences are a part of a larger pattern. And I don't discourage any dissenting views, and I don't know anybody else in the space that does. How men can exit the manosphere. Once embedded in the manosphere, leaving can be challenging due to the strong sense of community and validation members receive. Exiting requires both personal reflection and external support. Yeah, shame. Because it's really hard once you know the truth to go out there and function with the other people as if you don't. And don't feel like you need to. Because think about it this way. When you are, yes, you can go back into the matrix and function, but don't change what you know. You know what I mean? Because the truth is powerful. And shoving it down so that you can please others is gonna make it worse. It's gonna make you sick inside. Thorburn found that more than being exposed to counter narratives, deeper introspection and recognizing the negative impact these communities can have on one's mental health, relationships, and overall well-being led users to question their beliefs. Now, I will say that a lot of this content can be bad for your mental health, but the reason is because it's pretty dang depressing, right? Truth is depressing. It's just true. It's just true. Yeah, it is, because the state of the world right now is not sunshine and roses. I'm not sure it ever was. Sin is real. It corrupts. We're in a constant state of entropy since the fall. It's not pleasant, but pretending it is doesn't help anybody. You just have to learn what is greater than all this. And by and large, you can't find that in a building that they call a church anymore, because that has been infected with this kind of baloney for well over a century. So they're all about getting y'all on plantation too. Sorry. For many users, the process of de-radicalization from the manosphere stemmed from a recognition that the ideologies they had subscribed to were either hurting themselves or other they deeply cared about. You just have to find a higher purpose. You have to find, yes, that didn't define the women didn't define your value, so what does? It's innate. It's already there. It can never be destroyed. Your value can never be destroyed, no matter what you do, no matter what anyone says, because it's in your creation. And when people find that, when the red-pilled men find that, they do greatly better. For some de-radicalized users, positive, compassionate experiences with women challenge the manosphere's misogynistic tropes about women. Having female friends help them to learn to see the shared humanity and similarities between men and women, with this experience contradicting the manosphere's depiction of women being predominantly malevolent and manipulative actors, Thorburn continues. It is important to understand that we all are created with innate value. And when you realize that you're created with innate value, you can see that others are too, even though they're behaving in ways that doesn't seem like it, right? That, I think, is where you can find that somewhat of a silver lining. Like I said, the truth is depressing, right? This truth is depressing. Find the truth that isn't. This is why, nature is very important. Reading old literature is very important. There is truth out there that isn't depressing. Finding alternative communities like X Red Pill and Incel Exit can also act as a buffer to joining or becoming more deeply embedded in the manosphere. It is also essential for men to have access to professional mental health support and stronger support systems within family, peers, and mentors that enhance their well-being and self-esteem. Mental health tends to veer to the left a bit. Users describe that the futility and inauthenticity at attempting to perform the facade of an imagined alpha-like masculinity was ultimately unsustainable, leading them to reassess their relationship with the red pill. Yeah, being confident is just unsustainable. Learning to assert yourself, just unsustainable. What? Oh, this is why so many men nowadays are like, invest in yourself, construct your finances the way you want to for the things you want to do. That's why they had to say, like, working out is far right wing to go work out. Oh, like investing in yourself, taking pride in yourself, all of those things for men. Far right wing. What are you doing? Extremists. Oh, Lord have mercy. Oh, they need to reassess their relationship with the red pill. Journeys away from the manosphere were just as much grounded in self-acceptance than anything else, Thorburn concludes. Yeah, self-acceptance. Accept yourself in whatever way the women would like you to be. I think that's the idea. I can hear this video being demonetized as I'm speaking, but I don't care because I will never stop saying this stuff. And the more they want me to stop, the more I'm going to have to say it. By considering diverse perspectives and realizing that feminism is not meant to harm them, but is instead a movement for gender equality that benefits everyone, men can begin to appreciate themselves as they are, in subjection. I add that. Rather than buying into the alpha mentality and create more fulfilling and genuine relationships with themselves and others. Oh no, you guys, at the end here, it says, wondering if traditional narratives of masculinity make you invalidate your own emotions? Take this test to find out. Oh, we're going to have to do that on another video. We're going to have to take the test and laugh at it. Critique it, destroy it, dismantle it, all the things. Okay, so we've learned a lot today. Not really, but they continue to come at you. You know why? Do you know why the attacks get more and more and more and in more places? Because you're onto something. Because you guys have not only discovered a truth, you're comparing notes and you're finding the patterns. You're not supposed to do that. You're gonna look up and look around and realize, oh, I'm some kind of work mule. And I don't want to be. And I don't have to be. That's terrifying to the state, corporations, and to those with that whip. So stay strong. Don't let people shame you. Don't let people tell you it's all your fault. And don't think that your value is somehow wrapped up in what the women think of you, because it's not. It is not. Seek truth. Feed your souls always. Protect your peace. And this is a way you protect your peace. To not let this stuff tear you down. They're trying to shove that blue pill down your throat. No, it's poison. It's poison. So, on that note, you guys, remember I love you, and I'll see you guys on the next one.